Hello, humans. Okay. So, let's talk about this. In Galatians 5:20 and Revelation 9:21 and Revelation 18:23, there is a Greek word that is translated into English as witchcraft or sorcery. Now, this Greek word is pharmakeia, and it is a word for medicines or drugs that inhibit a person's personality or change his behavior. Now, we would call these mind-altering drugs. This is where we get the words pharmaceutical drugs or the word pharmacy. That's interesting and scary. Now, this word was used in connection with sorcery, magic, or witchcraft. Now, when the church was being established in the first century, paganism ruled the Roman Empire. Now, these were dark, demonic, pagan religions, of which one prominent feature was the use of hallucinogenic drugs to alter the state of one's mind. In sorcery, the use of drugs, whether simple or potent, was generally accompanied by incantations and appeals to occult powers with the provision of various charms, amulets, etc. Now, the problem was that people were not receiving real help. They were essentially getting poisoned. They never dealt with the real problems they were facing, which were spiritual in nature. Now, Revelation chapter 18, this is all about Babylon falling, which represents the world and its ways falling. Babylon represents the ultimate enemy of God and persecutor of his people. And this is why in Revelation 17:5, Babylon is described as the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. And this is why in Galatians 5:16, Paul says, "Walk by the Spirit and you will not carry out the desire of the flesh." And then Paul goes on in verses 20 to 21 to describe the deeds of the flesh, which make it known that one is not walking by the Spirit. Now, ancient Babylon destroyed Jerusalem and the temple and became a symbol for the enemy of God and his people. Now, Revelation uses this imagery, so the future Babylon represents a national entity that will persecute and destroy in the spirit of the Babylonians. Now, the difference is that ancient Babylon destroyed Jerusalem as God's judgment for her unfaithfulness. But in the last days, Babylon persecutes believers who are being faithful, and it is Babylon who will be judged. The entire world and its ways will come into judgment. And this is why it is written in 1 John 2:15 to 17, "Do not love the world nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the boastful pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. The world is passing away, and also its lusts, but the one who does the will of God lives forever." But because pharmakeia refers to pharmaceutical drugs, one should wonder how this plays into the last days. It's estimated that about 160 million people in the United States use prescription drugs. Now, some drugs most certainly can help people to heal. For example, I had used amoxicillin to get rid of an infection within. However, it's estimated there are over 20,000 drugs available, and many of them have adverse side effects, which include, but are not limited to, birth defects, suicidal tendencies, hallucinations, amnesia, cancer, blood clots, skin boils, insomnia, or even death. And now let's put this into perspective concerning our current situation that's been going on into about 3 years now. Billions of people worldwide have now been coerced into receiving a specific syringe, if you know what I mean. From this, there have been serious adverse side effects, including, but definitely not limited to, blood clot, heart attack, miscarriage, brain hemorrhage, uncontrollable shaking, paralyzation, and even death. And when these adverse side effects are taken into consideration with the way the world and its ways operates, it's easy to see how dependency enables slavery and supremacy. Who is the great physician? Rather than seeking the Lord, we have made idols out of pharmaceutical drugs. Truly, there is nothing new under the sun. Like the woman in Mark 5, verses 25 to 34, who endured much at the hands of many physicians and had spent all she had, yet was not helped at all, but only grew worse, people place their faith in Pharmakeia rather than seek the Lord. And currently, many people believe it is better to question, criticize, attack, and mock God than to question or criticize that special syringe solution. And so, in the last days, people will be like Pharaoh, who feared the plagues, yet they did not fear God. Big mistake. But as for me, I'm going to do what the Lord is calling me to do, no matter what the world tells me to do. And I hope you do the same.